Okay, we are going to talk about percent of a number today. I'm going to make this bigger so that we can, maybe not that big. We're going to make this bigger so that we can read it. And I'm not necessarily going to fill every square in because using the tape method, that's something that they introduce to you when you're younger. But at this point, we're past that. So if you want to use it and you remember how to use it as a kid, feel free. Otherwise, I'm just going to teach you some basic how we do these things. So the percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. And so that means that our ratios is this out of this. Well, in terms of a percent, it is always this or something out of 100. To find the percent of a number means to find the part given the whole and the percent. You can use tape diagrams. Again, we're not necessarily going to teach that, but we're going to teach you something a little quicker. To find percent of 100. You're going to divide and label the tape diagram by the percent. Then you're going to divide and label the tape diagram by the whole. Use the tape diagrams to find each part. No. Okay. I know that this just has answer, but hear me out what we're doing these. What is something percent of 20? We've done this in a different fashion. I'm going to choose black and hope that you can read it. But we've got percents. Okay, so we have the same thing that we've had before. Part to a whole, part to a whole. And we set this up with ratios. Remember? Part over whole. So what that means is that we have a part with a whole here, and this number is the whole for the other half. Okay, Miss Beaton, I don't get it. What are you talking about? I can hear you saying it. Okay, so we set up here that percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. So 100 is the whole. The number is the part. Okay, again, let's give it to you a different way. So in terms of 20%, the part that we know is 20, and the whole percent would be 100. Okay, so that is 20% right there. 20 parts of 100% is 20%. And then we have our situation where our whole, because what is 20% of 200? Well, of 200, what's the whole? 200. What's the part that we don't know? The part we don't know is that top number. So we do 100 times x equals 20 times 200 is 4,000. I'm going to make sure, because you know it happens. 20 times, well, turn the computer on. 20 times 200 equals, yeah, that's right. And so then I'm going to divide both sides by 100. Oh, sorry, it's terrible to write on this. I like writing on my board. Ken got this guy. I think the answer is 40, but I'm going to make sure. So divided by 100 equals, yes. So the answer that you're going to type in is 40. Okay, now I know that this is going to be coming back to you because there is a simpler way. We'll get to that when we go to our practice problems, but I want you to remember how we did these things. Okay, let's do another one. Erase those. We've got the same situation. So this is 25%, which means that I am supposed to be writing now. 25% over 100 and the 80 with the unknown. Okay, so let's rewrite it where we have space. 25 over 100 equals 80 over, nope, I have that backwards. Oh, and it won't let me erase it. So ignore, that is an X. This is an 80. 100x, 100 times x. So I'm just going to write 100 times x equals 25 times 80. That's a 0. Using my calculator, 25 times 80, 2,000. So 100. I hate writing with the mouse. 100x equals 2,000. So divide both sides by that 100 so that you isolate that x. X equals 2,000 divided by 100 is 20. I don't even need a calculator. I'm confident. So I'm going to put my answer as 20. Okay, so to find the percent of a number, change the percent to a fraction or decimal. Then multiply by the whole. Percent times the whole equals the part. Okay. That's kind of like what we did already. So, because we did the percent, change the percent to a fraction or a decimal, well, we changed it to 20 over 100, right? So number 6, that's when we did that. To find a percent of a number, change the percent to a fraction, which is 20 over 100. Then multiply by the whole. The percent times the whole equals the part. Okay. So this second part right here where it says it could have been changed to a decimal, let's practice this over here just for a second. Okay, so I wish I had another piece of paper. Let me give myself another piece of paper because I can't. We're going to write on this piece of paper, and that's all we're using this paper for is to write. So you guys possibly won't even have it. So if it tells me, where's my pen? $20. Okay. That can be written as 20 over 100. That can also be written as 0.20, well, 0.20, okay? Notice that all I did is I took the decimal point that is technically would have been here, and I'm moving it 2 spaces, and that's 20, okay? So we're going to do that again just to make sure. So if I have 45%, okay, that can be written as a fraction, 45 over 100. And yes, that can be reduced by 5. So you could reduce that by dividing the top by 5, the bottom by 5. Or it can be written, because again, has to have 2 spaces, 1, 2. It does. So I'm just going to write 0 with the 2 decimals behind it. Now I'm going to change color because I'm going to show you one that might be a little tricky. What about 8%? So 8% is easy to do as a fraction because it's still 8 over 100. Fabulous. Easy. But look what happens when I try to do my 2 bounces. 1, 2. There's nothing here. So since there's nothing here, you have to, in your decimal, hold that place. So this place value would be 0.08. 0.08. Okay. Let me do a couple more. So if I have 15%, 15% can be written as 15 over 100. Or it can be written as 0.15 because there's 2 decimals. See, I went bounce, bounce. Okay, let's do another one. Let's get a little bit more room. Oh, out of space. So how about 7%? Well, 7% is 7 over the 100. But I need to check my bouncies. Nope, don't have to, so I have to have a placeholder. So that actual answer will be 0.07. Both of those is 7%. So that's important for you to know. That is something we should be practicing and making sure that we remember from previous years in school. The other thing, we'll get to that later, so we won't do that. Let's go over here then. So why did I go through all of that? Because if you remember, there's a very short way to do this. And there you can choose either one. So 10% of 45, you can use the fraction and do it as 10 over 100 equals x over 45. Or if you change this to your decimal, 0.10, and then multiply it by 45, you still get the same answer. And it's doing the same whole steps. So I'm not necessarily going to do this way because my calculator is a whole lot faster than doing all these steps. So let's try to type in some work and see what happens. So I'm going to convert that 10% to 0.10, and I'm going to times it by 45. And I'm going to see if this works. So using my calculator, 0.1 times 45. Oh, turning the calculator on. I get 4.5 this way. Well, you can't see it. 4.5 this way. I'm going to type that answer. I'm going to see if I went through all that other work, if that's the same answer. So let's try it. Okay, so ignore, we're just testing. Okay, so 10 times 45, 10 times 45 equals 100 times x, 100 x. 10 times 45 is 450 equals 100 x. Okay, so divide both sides by 100. Divide by 100. 450 divided by 100 is 4.5 equals x. Which way was faster? Y'all make your own judgments, but that's the route that I would prefer to take because it's a whole lot faster. Okay, so let's try this one. This one right here, I'm going to immediately think, instead of 32%, I'm going to put 0.32. Of means multiply times 60. Okay, so grabbing my calculator, 0.32 times 60, I get 19.2 equals 19.2. Look at how smart I am. This is where I did the review on that other page. So that 5%, does it have two places for me to bounce? No, it doesn't. So I have to do 0.05. So that now I still have those two places because you're going to get it wrong. 5, if you don't put that point, that's 50%. That's very different than 5%. So times 120. You guys should do it as best you can. And the answer is 6. Cake, right? All right, let's do the next one. 25%. Let's convert it to a decimal. It's already got two places for me to bounce, so 0.25 times 80. I think I can do this in my head. Let's see, I think it's 20. Let me use my calculator, though, to make sure that I'm right. So 0.25 times 80. Oh, yeah, I was right. Equals 20. So this lesson has prepared you for a couple of different things, but you will be doing a practice on your own now that you've watched this, so that I know that you know how to use the calculator, the long division, write on your desks. Tape method is there. I'm not going to explain it because you've already had it. But you are expected to make sure that you show me that you understand, oh, this is how I change a percent into a decimal. And this is how I find out a percent of a number.